It is a gorgeous day. It's the third week in November. I mean, the weather is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Now, I'm not a fan of the southern weather because it is too hot, but considering it's the third week in November, we got a nice breeze. The leaves are falling. Yeah, it feels amazing out. It's a great day to be out. Go to the mountains maybe, do some hiking, stuff like that, but I'm just going to do the right thing and just stay in the garage and work on computers. Because, well, you know, the computers, they're calling me, and I must answer. So today's project, used parts. So I recently picked up a bunch of used parts. I'm going to focus on these couple of M.2s I picked up and this CPU motherboard combo that I got on some used deals. And I got to say, buying used parts saves you a lot of money, but sometimes it can be a headache. So let's talk about motherboard, CPU, and memory. Now, I've actually seen a couple of these pop up, and I actually got one about a couple of months ago, or maybe a month ago, whatever. But it's H70M Pro 4. It's ASRock. I got one like this in a deal for $100 and was able to flip it, make some good money. But this one, found on the Facebook Marketplace, got it with a i5-10400F. Came with 16 gigs of memory. Not bad. Seller wanted 100. I offered him 60. Really good deal. But the gamble that you have is that, you know, I go over to the house to pick it up. This is exactly how they have it. And they're like, yeah, dude, you know, the thing works great. 100 frames per second, solid, stable, you know, works real good. Last time I used it 20 years ago. And then you're going to have to take the gamble on that. Bring it back to your house. It don't work. He could flake on you. SOL, good luck with a whole police investigation for fraud or whatever, but that is a gamble on it. Most times I ask them, hey, can I get a video of you powering up? That might help, and that kind of gives you an idea, but I'm going to talk about why the motherboard could be a bigger gamble, but let's talk quick about the CPU. So the CPU, very simple. Turn on the computer, fire it up. If it boots pretty good, that's fine. Give it a good stress test, that's pretty good. Undervolt it to see if you got a good CPU or not, in my opinion. If you got a good one that could run less volts, then you really got a good one. Now, another thing to remember with the CPU is test all the memory channels. So in this configuration, it works great. But if you try it in another configuration, it might not. So if you wanted to populate all these memory slots, one of them might be dead. So typically what I'll do is I'll populate one by one, test it, then test it this configuration, just to make sure that the memory channels are working. You have to do that because the worst thing that you can do is sell this, and then the buyer later on goes in and says, hey, I want to put, 2 more 8 gig sticks, and then you find out these 2 channels are dead. So test all your memory channels. Now, as far as your memory stress test, is a whole bunch of different programs that you can do a good memory stress test on it, and that'll kind of give you an idea. I'm least likely to run into issues with memory. It is possible, but memory stress test, and you should have no issues with that. Now, the motherboard, this is where I find the biggest gamble, believe it or not, and I've been bit by this. So there's a lot of different moving components in this motherboard. You got all this fancy jazz, this stuff, that stuff. There's a lot going on. So with the motherboard, you can pop it in, play a game, do a stress test, with all the configuration, everything works fine. You think you're good, kick it out, send it, or use it as your personal rig, or don't even worry about trying to return it because everything works. I had this happen. Quick story time. Had a computer, sold it, decent flip, pretty cool. And this was about 6 months ago. And, did the whole stress test, gaming, all that stuff. Seller was happy with it. Well, the seller decides he wants to upgrade his M.2. So he has one. He decides to put a second one in. When he goes to put the second one in, computer keeps crashing. Blacks, doesn't boot, no post, blue screens, very unstable. He takes it out. Works fine. Puts it in, doesn't work. He brings it over. We test the M.2 drive. Works perfectly in any other rig. I tried a couple of different M.2 drives. Turns out this port right here was fried. Don't know what happened, but I do believe it was fried when I got the board. Now, I looked at the M.2 that he had, double-checked all the little markings and everything like that. I mean, there was no way he messed it up. That was definitely something that was bad with the motherboard, but that's something that you don't commonly test. So with the motherboard, that could be bad. I had this one several years ago where the microphone jack was shorted. Every time they plugged it in, it would short out the motherboard. So with motherboards, there is a lot more testing than just stress testing and, playing a game or two. Anything could go bad. It is a gamble. And the biggest headache sometimes when buying a motherboard, and you got to keep this in mind, smell it. Whew, I'm stuffy. Smell your components. This one is a prime example that I probably should have smelled it before I bought it. And here's why. I'm working on it, I'm cleaning, and Yeah. See all the yellow? Now, you might say, oh, it's a smoker's computer. Well, no, this was a vapor's. It doesn't have a odor. It doesn't smell like a smoker's, but every time I wipe it, and I'm using isopropyl alcohol with a Q-tip, every time I wipe it, I mean, it keeps coming up yellow. And I didn't see it, obviously, and it's kind of hard to see it because I guess the way it just gets on there. Sometimes, like with a cigarette smoke, it's more yellow, so you can kind of get an idea. Like this memory would turn yellow, this might turn yellow, but this one just had this film that's kind of coming up gross like that. And more so, can you see it in the back? Like I said, I started working cleaning it. You can kind of see it up there. That wipes right off, looks brand new. I got some areas that I've worked out over here. So this thing was in a vapor's home, and yeah, it's just got that film on it. I recommend cleaning it. Even though this motherboard works fine, I've stress tested and everything, clean it. I mean, this stuff could lead to problems later. It looks horrible, and that was one of the things that I noticed when I was messing with it, was that this thing looked very dull. But I'm working on getting the sheen back on it because it looks nice. We're going to put it in a case with the glass and everything, and you don't want that whole dullness from, you know, the vape crap or the smoke crap on it. No offense to you guys that do that, but got to spend some time cleaning it. Time is money. Just food for thought. So just wanted to do this quick video just talking about buying used parts, things to keep in mind. The biggest thing is stress testing it. A stress test doesn't consist of maybe just 20 minutes. I like to give it a good run, good cycle. I'll play a game. Like if I'm in the middle of a game, I'll actually install my own account for Steam Deck, get big into a game, run a stress test for several hours, and then I'll feel comfortable selling it. The biggest headache that you have is a return. Because if a customer brings it back, I mean, yeah, you have to honor it. One of the things that I've always taken pride in, it's kind of helped me to make a couple of dollars here and there, is that if they run into a trouble, they bring it back. I troubleshoot it. I don't charge. And I have found that they've given me better business. They've actually hooked me up with some old used parts that they're getting rid of and stuff like that. So you take care of them, they'll take care of you. Now, if you're curious on graphics cards, I do have several dedicated videos talking about graphics cards, what you need to do and all that. And you can definitely check them out on the channel for that. But for now, I'm going to continue working on getting this vape juice off, get this computer ready, because it's actually going to be an upgrade for my dad's computer, and definitely get these M.2s all situated and, you know, see what works, doesn't work. These should work. I know these should work because the seller is very reputable on that. So comment down below, let me know your thoughts, concerns, criticisms. Do you still take the gamble with used parts? What do you think the biggest gamble could be, and suggestions that you use or you employ to kind of help you ensure that you're getting dealed and you're not getting hosed. If you like this video, definitely hit the like button, subscribe if you're not, and as always, we'll see what we come up with next.